This video was brought to you by Kiwi Ears from Linsoul Audio. Ever since I took the dive into using in-ear monitors, I haven't really gone back into using stage monitors. There was a few gigs here and there that ended up being easier and less time consuming just to use stage monitor speakers, but for the most part, in-ear monitors are my preference when it comes to monitoring. I've used a handful of earphones from the Chi-Fi market of various brands, as well as some well-known European and American in-ear monitors. But what separates the two, in my opinion, is the progressiveness, the variety, and of course, the price point. Today, we're looking at the Kiwi Ears Quartet earphones from Linsoul Audio, who have kindly sent me this product for free for me to review. So a big thank you to the team for sending me this. But I will still review these in the same manner and context that I have been doing for all my other previous videos regarding in-ear monitors, mainly field testing them at a live performance with my bands as well as everyday use. Before we delve into the review, I thought I'd just talk a little bit about Kiwi Ears and their products. Now, I'm from Aotearoa, which is also known as New Zealand to the rest of the world, and it's a very common term to call the local residents here Kiwis, which I think is very fitting for the product that I'm reviewing today. It should be noted that Kiwi Ears is not a New Zealand company, but actually located in China, and what I have gathered from their website, kiwiears.com, is that they produce a variety of in-ear monitors specifically designed for musicians and studio engineers in mind. The Kiwi Ears Quartet is a hybrid in-ear monitor with two 10mm dynamic drivers and two balanced armatures per side. The website describes these earphones as a perfect earphone for drummers, bass players, and music enthusiasts that love their bass. The two dynamic drivers have their own independent magnetic circuit and are aligned passively to prevent phase cancellation. They are also crossed over with a low-pass filter up to 350 Hz, while the mid-frequencies are tuned for a flat response from 350 Hz and upwards to 1 kHz. This means the two dynamic drivers provide a large portion of the lower frequencies for some thumping low end and a smooth response that's clear and balanced for the low mids. With the bass and the low mids out of the way, the two other balanced armatures per ear can now add more clarity and detailed precision to frequencies over 1 kHz, making them sound crisp and clean. Now that's what the description of the product implies, so we'll talk about my first-hand field testing results in a moment. If you're looking to buy these, you can purchase them from linsoul.com or use my affiliate link in the description below. Simply search up Kiwi Ears Quartet and head over to the webpage. You'll see there are 3 options to choose from, each one with a different price point. The default version, which is the one I received, is $109 US at the time of making this video. These are a universal one-size-fits-all and only come in the purple swirl color. However, if you wanted a bit more flair and uniqueness to these earphones, then click on the UIEM option, which stands for Universal Fitted In-Ear Monitor. You'll notice that the price changes to $159 US, and from here you can customize the shell with 12 color options to choose from, as well as 20 faceplate designs. This is really cool. I love that you can customize these earphone colors. Kiwi Ears takes it a step further by giving you the CIEM option, which means custom fitted in-ear monitors. This means you could get a uniquely fitted shell specifically for your ears only. For this option, you'll need to pay a visit to your local audiologist and get an ear impression for you to send to Linsoul or Kiwi Ears, and they do mention on their website that you'll need to send the impressions via email and have it approved beforehand. If successful and approved, and you go down this track, you can still customize the shell color from one of the 12 options as well as the faceplates from one of the 20 designs. Although it should be noted that this will set you back $259 US as opposed to the base version of only $109 US. I'm pretty sure I lucked out because the universal fitted base version that was sent to me fits in my ears really well, despite the earphones itself being somewhat large in size. But I suppose that is to be expected when you find 2 dynamic drivers and 2 balanced armatures inside each earphone. Some users may find the earphone too large for your ear cavities and may experience either discomfort or have them slip out of your ears from time to time, but rest assured, all companies design universal fitted earphones based on statistical data and numerous ear sizes to find the average ear cavity size that best fits everyone in the world. The Kiwi Ears Quartet box is a nice purple color with some basic specification information and has a sticker up the top left corner indicating it won a 2024 award despite receiving this in 2023. I'm not going to look into this as it's not my department and I'm unfamiliar with the VGP award, so let's move on. After removing the sleeve, there is a simple black box with the logo which actually looks better than the sleeve packaging in my opinion. After opening the box, you're greeted with the two in-ear monitors on display, but it's a very simple and unappealing presentation compared to some of the other in-ear monitors I've unboxed before. Underneath the in-ear monitors, there are some documentation and a small carry case, which is always a very nice gesture from companies to provide these with their product. Inside the carry case, you'll find a few accessories, starting with the cable, which immediately feels thicker and stronger than other products I've reviewed. The cable also comes with a small Velcro wrap to secure it, and as simple as it may be, a small item such as a Velcro wrap is such a handy thing to have to keep the cable from getting tangled. So thank you Kiwi Ears for providing this with your product. Next we have a variety of ear tips to choose from and a small tool, similar to the ones that you would find with smartphones. The case itself feels pretty sturdy. It's not rugged or built for hard use, but feels strong enough to handle the everyday aspects of a working musician and keeping things neat and tidy. The earphones have a sleek and shiny design, and at first glance they are pretty big, but that's probably due to the two drivers and two balanced armatures being housed inside. The shell has a nice colored swirl in its design, and upon closer inspection there are actually two little switches on the earphones, which is probably what the small provided tool is used for. The earphones are smooth to the touch and aren't too heavy. If you look closely down the cavity, you can see there are actually two separate holes, which I'm going to assume one cavity leads to the two dynamic drivers, while the other cavity leads to the two balanced armatures. This probably helps separate frequencies between the two, but at this stage, that's just an educated guess. Attaching the ear tips can be a bit tricky, but it's not impossible. Once correctly on, the ear tips feel very sturdy in place. The cable has a good length to it, starting with a 3.5mm jack connector, leading to a twirled cable rather than a braided one. The cable then splits off into the left and right sides. Speaking of left and right, the instruction manual only shows an image of what would be considered left and right side earphones. If you were to look at the earphones themselves, there is actually no indication of what earphone is for the left or right side. I looked over the earphones very thoroughly and there are no markings. Even on the cable itself, there are no left and right markings to indicate which side should be plugged into the earphone. For anyone new to earphones of this type, this would be very frustrating not knowing where to plug them into. Luckily for me, I've used IEMs for a while now, and I know how they should fit in my ears and how the cable should curl around my ears. But for a novice user, you'll have to resort to the picture diagram in the manual, which is also not super helpful either, but it does kind of give you an idea of what to do. Okay, so I was intrigued about these switches and I listened to some music, then adjusted the switches one by one, which gives you 4 possible positions or combinations. And without using any special testing equipment or visual monitoring, I didn't notice a single difference in the sound or performance from these earphones. At first, I thought the switches would attenuate bass, mid or high frequencies, and I would have expected to hear and tell a difference in them, but unfortunately, there was nothing I could hear that would tell me that these switches add any extra features or provide any purpose whatsoever. Even when I referred to the manual, there is not a single bit of information about the switches or what they do or what they are for. Kinda seems like a wasted effort in my opinion. So in the end, I just left the switches in the default position I found them set to. When it came to wearing these, I was worried about them being too big, but surprisingly, they fit very snug in my ears and I found them very comfortable. Even the way the cable wraps around the back of my ears was pleasant and seemed to hold its place and shape, which adds to the comfort. I tested these earphones out with some audio from various sources as well as a few live shows with my bands. I started with listening to music using the highest audio quality settings, from an audio interface to a PC sound card to a simple output from a smartphone. Immediately, you can feel the bass and you know for sure this was made for bass enthusiasts. Anyone that loves electronic dance music, drums, bass, hip-hop, R&B will find it hard to not tap your feet and nod your head when listening to music in these. The lows sound super tight and punchy and they feel great. The mids and highs were surprisingly well balanced and clear and were not overshadowed by the low end at all. I think it has to do with the crossover wiring to separate the low bass and kick drum in between the beats, while the rest of the instrumentation carries through. For those of you that are thinking, I'm not sure if I want a bass heavy earphone. Well, you don't have to worry, because I played around with some EQ settings, and if you want less bass, just dial down the low end and you can find a very neatly balanced frequency range. As for the mids and highs, I also played around with the EQ in this range, and you definitely can get some bright, crispy frequencies that really make the music sparkle. So aside from the earphones being thick and punchy at first, you can always dial in your preferred EQ settings. I used these at a few shows, some band practices, and personal practice from either an audio interface or a wired connection to a preamp, as well as a wireless body pack receiver and transmitter. Since I'm mostly playing bass and drums, I can confidently say the Kiwi Ears Quartet are my new favorite in-ear monitor. Everything just sounds perfectly balanced where I want them to be, and since the earphones emphasize low frequencies and low mids, I don't really need to play around with the EQ settings at all. Even when playing guitar or feeding some vocals and keyboards into my mix, I still found the earphones to provide enough mid and high frequencies to my liking. Nothing sounded too harsh or piercing, but more of a flat and neutral sound without sacrificing clarity. Again, if you are worried about these earphones being too bass heavy, I would recommend playing around with the EQ settings from your mixer, especially if you're a guitarist or a singer and want to focus more on the mids and highs rather than the bass. During the whole testing stage in a live setting, I was so happy with the comfort and feel of these earphones. They never fell out of my ears, they always felt snug in place, and they also offered some good noise reduction from my surroundings, which is what you want from an in-ear monitor so that you can protect your ears. My overall thoughts on these are that they sound fantastic. The bass and the low end sound great and they feel great. They're just so punchy and tight sounding. They are big in size and sound, but not an issue at all, as they fit in my ears very well and they feel great to wear, and the comfort of wearing them is just so pleasant. I really love that you can customize the shell and faceplates when ordering one of these, as well as the option for custom molded in-ear monitors. What I would have liked to see was some more color options from the base standard version. By all means, keep the swirl pattern, but maybe just in a different variation of colors like blue, green, or red. And since there are no left and right indicators on the earphones or the cable itself, I think it would have been cool to be able to customize the left and right earphones with different color options as well. For example, having red on the left side, blue on the right. Now, for the switches on the side, they are not necessary, completely unnoticeable, and I think they're a bit of a waste of time. If I can't hear the difference with just my own ears, then there's probably no point in having them anyway. That's just my opinion. Aside from that, I think of them as a balanced and clear sounding earphone with a bass upgrade. And again, if you don't want the extra bass, just use the EQ from your mixing desk or your app and dial down the low end. They are my new favorite earphones, and I'll be using them from now on for all my current and upcoming gigs and shows, and I recommend you should get a pair of these too. Thanks for watching, and thank you again Linsoul Audio and Kiwi Ears for sending me these earphones to review. If you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe. It really helps support the channel, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.